farmers. We don't need farmers to be gatherers. We want entrepreneurs again. We want professional farmers. We need to increase that productivity gap. Paul mentioned about specialty coffees, specialty cocos. There's a market for specialty cocos, and it's a niche market approach. But overall, in farmers producing 300 to 400 kilograms per hectare per year, doesn't matter what premium they're paid, they're going to be poverty. So we need to increase that poverty, that productivity gap, and we can't do this alone. So that's the pre-competitive nature of our organization, and why we've been able to partner with U.S. government, with African governments, Latin American governments, and in Southeast Asia, to create better opportunities for farmers. And farming cocoa won't be grown in the States, and we need farmers for the long term. So that's where we come in today. Thank you.
Okay, Robert, thank you. I've got a couple questions for the Paul. The issue of combining advice with access to finance, and maybe Michael, you'll have a view of this as well, but I was at IFC for several years, and Robert, I think you guys have made any number of different sort of very polite, protocol-like conversations, and having been at the World Bank, we were probably very polite and gave all sorts of protocol-like answers back, but I'm doubtful that there's not been a lot done in terms of actually directly either having the ability of the bank group to direct funding through banks. There's probably some pilots, but this continues to be, I suspect, a big problem. There's a lot of advice. There's a lot of linking to meet standards that Chevron applies, or what the phytosanitary standards, but the actual lending money to smaller farmers is a risky, hard business, really hard, and so there are, the IFC will do pieces of the agricultural value chain, but they don't want to actually work with smallholder farmers. So I would be curious about this particular issue, because it seems to me this is sort of what we've touched on it in these conversations, but I'd be curious from each, and perhaps even each, you may want to speak to it, because I think there's and I know Michael's on the board of CEF, and so.
Like in smallholder agriculture in general, it's not a cocoa problem in general, but in agriculture in developing countries, and